Hi there. So the video you're about to watch was supposed to come out on Halloween. However, due to two very unfortunate circumstances, um, one being I got super sick, still am. Luckily, it's nothing serious and nothing contagious. It just really messed up my throat. The other is that I had to switch Wi-Fi providers, so I just had no internet and no way of getting a lot of the game clips I needed to finish this video. Deadlines are hard. That's why I try not to set them for myself. Either way, hope you enjoy. Carry on. Hello and happy Halloween. Unless you're not watching this on Halloween, in which case, I like your vibe. Now look, there are a lot of games to really get you into that Halloween spirit. You've got Splatoween if you're a Splatoon player. You can decorate your island in all kinds of interesting ways if you like Animal Crossing. There are a number of horror games of various subgenres, but when it comes down to it, for me personally, the best Halloween game of all time currently is Luigi's Mansion 3. See, to me, Halloween isn't just about scares. I'm a big fan of horror movies. I watch them year-round, so I don't really dedicate this month just to that. I watch more this month than I do the rest of the months, but still not something that I only do this time of year. Because of that, to me, the Halloween spirit really lies between that fine line, that a little bit eerie, a little bit spooky, but at the same time, really fun. The Munsters, the Addams Family, Scooby-Doo, all of these things have those horror-like vibes without ever really diving into that genre alone. They are creepy and spooky without being straight up horror. They are equal parts eerie and fun. And when it comes to video games, no IP, no franchise walks that line as wonderfully as Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion has that atmosphere, it has that vibe, it has that feel, but at the same time, it is just plain fun. And you know, while I'm talking about it, not only is Luigi's Mansion my favorite game to play around Halloween, it's one of my favorite games on the Switch, period. It is just a really, really good game. I played the first one on the GameCube back in the day. It came out in 2001, the same time the first Pikmin came out. And like the first Pikmin, I immediately fell in love. The game was so great, it was so fun, and it really hit that spot that I loved. I was a big Scooby-Doo fan growing up, and at the same time, I was a big Luigi fan. I had a Nintendo 64. I didn't have an NES or an SNES, so every time I'd play one of the classic Mario games, I'd be over at a friend's house. Generally, they'd be player one, I'd be player two. Because of that, as I grew up, I more enjoyed playing as Luigi. To the point where, to this day, if I'm playing a classic Mario game, I will let my wife, my brothers, somebody else be player one and I'll be player two because I'd rather be Luigi. It does help that my favorite color is green and my name also starts with an L, but you know, even beyond that, I just really like Luigi. He's a fun character. So when I got a game that is completely Luigi and it has that same awesome semi-horror vibe that I was craving when I was younger, it really just made the perfect little experience for me specifically. Sadly, I never got a chance to play Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon, as we call it here in the States for some reason. I didn't have a DS. I went from Game Boy Advance to not really having a console, a regular handheld console, for quite a long time. I do feel like I missed out, but luckily we are getting a remaster of Luigi's Mansion 2 on the Switch next year. I'm still crossing my fingers and holding out that we'll also get a remaster of the original game. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be just like slightly upscaled like we got for Pikmin 1 and 2. I'd be happy with that. I just want to be able to play all three Luigi's Mansions on my Switch. I don't currently have a GameCube, so it's one of the only ways I can play this amazing game from my childhood. Whatever, I digress. Luigi's Mansion 3 improves on so many things from the other games. It does miss out a little bit. It doesn't have as much of a creepy atmosphere that the first one had. The first one did legitimately feel creepy in certain moments. This one never really does. It is more of that Scooby-Doo eeriness, which I still really appreciate. That's just one thing though. In my mind, everything else is a pretty decent upgrade from the other games. Plus, the character Polterpup from Luigi's Mansion 2 is still a part of this world now. He's just Luigi's dog now, so he's a big part. He's just in the entire game, and he's great. I love him. He's such a good boy. To all of the people that think that Nintendo games have too many dogs, like, what do you got against dogs, dude? So the basic premise of this game is very similar to the premise of the original game. The first game, Luigi was clearing out the various levels of a mansion to find Mario, who had been captured by King Boo. In the second game, Luigi goes through a number of mansions to save Mario, who has been captured by King Boo. In this game, Luigi, Mario, Peach, a few Toads, and Polterpup have all been invited to a grand hotel, the last resort. No red flags in that name at all. Everything seems alright until the owner, Helen Gravesley, turns out to not only be a vengeful ghost, but also to be a giant King Boo simp. And I mean, honestly, can we blame her? Look at this guy. Gentlemen, ladies, that's a man. You as Luigi narrowly escape King Boo's clutches. You end up in the basement. You find the new Poltergust G00, the most recent model in the line. And you and Polterpup decide to go try to save your friends. Real early in the game, you find Egad. He kind of gives you the rundown on some of the new mechanics. All of the new mechanics in this game, by the way, they're really good. I like all of them. They're pretty great. The most important one, the one you will use the most, is the slam mechanic. The way the slam mechanic works is when you are capturing a ghost, when they have started to be sucked into the Poltergust, you can use the A button to slam the ghost back and forth to create a whole bunch of additional damage. It's essentially the same thing that Hulk did to Loki in the first Avengers movie. You just whip them back and forth until they're sucked into the vacuum cleaner. They're done. The slam mechanic is great because you can use it to slam ghosts into other ghosts. Generally, when you are in a room, if you are trying to capture a ghost, other ones will be coming up on you to try to attack you in order to get you to, well, stop catching your friends, mostly. With the slam mechanic, you can slam one ghost into the ones who are around you, causing them to also be stunned, and it'll do damage to them. The great thing is that the second you have captured the ghost that you are currently slamming, you'll be able to start capturing those ghosts. It creates an ability where you can just kind of chain capturing the ghosts. It's really fun. It's very satisfying. The only real downside is it does make it a little bit easy. Like, it really, really simplifies the ghost catching experience, especially on the early levels. When you get to some of the later levels, you get an odd combination of ghosts. It'll always be like a varied combination of different ghosts, which will add challenge to the room. But in the beginning, when you mostly just have the blues and sometimes the red ghosts, it gets a little simple. How you look at that really depends on how well you're going to enjoy the game. For me personally, I enjoy the satisfaction of being able to just capture ghost after ghost after ghost after ghost. It's very fun for me to just be able to capture an entire room full fairly quickly. Do I wish there was more challenge? Yes, but it's just satisfying enough that even without it, I'm still having a phenomenal time. The next new mechanic is kind of a jump mechanic. So in the second game, you have the ability to jump to avoid attacks while you are capturing ghosts, but you couldn't jump in the rest of the game. In this game, we have a new mechanic where you can basically shoot a gust of air out of the Poltergust, and it'll make Luigi kind of jump up a few feet. You can essentially use that at any time. You can use it to knock things over. You can use it to blow ghosts away from you. It's really nice for crowd control. It's especially helpful in certain boss fights. I'm not going to get into the details of those necessarily, but yeah, you're gonna need that little jump mechanic. The next new mechanic is the suction shot. It is essentially a plunger with a rope on the end of it that you shoot out of your Poltergust. There are a number of items throughout the hotel that you can suction your suction shot to. Once you have done that, you can suck the rope into your Poltergust and pull the item, whether it's a small door that you can pull open, whether it's a trash can or a box that you can fling over your shoulder and break. Sometimes there will be obstacles that you'll need to get out of your way, and the best way to do that is with the suction shot. There are also a number of boss fights, both regular later boss fights and early mini boss fights that really utilize that suction shot in a great way. And the final new mechanic, the one that a lot of people probably know about just from looking at box art or posters or t-shirts from the game, and that's Luigi. Luigi is essentially an ooze clone of Luigi. He's just Luigi but gelatin. Luigi puts the goo into the Poltergust G00. At any point in time, you can swap over to Luigi. He will come out of the back of the Poltergust and you can control him. When you do, Luigi will go idle. If you're playing co-op, one of you can be Luigi while the other one is Luigi. Because Luigi is a viscous material, he can go through grates, he can go through fences, he can walk through spikes, he can get shot by arrows. None of that will injure him. He is just goo. When I first heard about Luigi, I wasn't sure how useful he was going to actually be in the game, but I can say he's very useful. Not only is he 100% necessary for getting through certain parts of the game, he is just a phenomenal addition. The basic premise of this game is that Luigi needs to work his way up the various levels of this hotel in order to save his brother, Princess Peach, the missing Toads, and defeat and recapture King Boo. The way the game keeps you from immediately jumping up there is that right in the beginning, the elevator buttons have been stolen. The buttons are each currently in the possession of a different boss ghost. And as such, each boss fight will reward you with a button that brings you to the next floor. The first third or so of the game, the floors are very random. They don't go in any particular order. But as it progresses, the rest of the game, it's literally just that floor, the next floor, the next floor, the next floor. Think of it like a Luigi's Mansion version of Bruce Lee's Game of Death. The early floors of the hotel are pretty much what you'd expect when you hear Haunted Hotel. They look like something out of a nice hotel. As you continue forward, however, it gets a little bit more wild and a little bit more weird. Each of the floors at a certain level on are themed in one way or another. There are floors that are meant to be like a musical theater. There are floors that are meant to be a discotheque. There's a floor that is a multi-story garden. There's a floor that's just straight up the restaurant medieval times, but like super deadly. One small detail that I really like is anytime you're in a floor that is supposed to be imitating the outside, if you get close to the area that looks like air, you can see that it's clearly been painted on a wall. Despite the fact that these rooms would very rarely work in a real capacity in a real building, they still try to make it look like it would work, at least in the parameters of this game's physics. Speaking of physics, another small detail that's phenomenal about this game is how much crap is just packed into each floor. There are so many rooms, and each room has a number of items, and most of those items all have their own physics in the game. Paper, sand, boxes, leaves, money, so much money, gobs of money, the amount of money that would make Wario absolutely mess his overalls. My God, there's so much money in this game. One of the things the game very early on encourages you to do is collect as much money as possible. As with the first game, the amount of money that you collect will inevitably end in how good your ending is. You get a rating at the very end, and the amount that you have at the end is where that rating mostly comes from. Not the amount that you've collected throughout, just the amount that you have at the end. You see, like in the other games, somewhere in the building, EGAD sets up a lab that becomes kind of your little mini hub. And within that lab, he eventually has a store. It doesn't have a lot of items. It has a gem finding item, a boo finding item, more on those later, and golden bones. Golden bones are kind of nice because if you have them on your person and you run out of life, Polterpup will come and revive you. It's pretty nice. Especially if you're on a really hard boss fight and you don't want to have to start it over when you lose all your life. Polterpup will come, wake you up, and you can kind of cheese the fight. In my first playthrough, I bought quite a few golden bones. It was just fun to be able to not have to worry. I didn't have to play super carefully if I had the bones. You can only have 3 at a time on you, but as long as I had them, I felt a little bit more safe. During subsequent playthroughs, I don't buy anything, because the more money you spend, the less money you have when the game is over. If you spend all of your money, then you don't get a really nice rating at the end. I'm not even a completionist in most games, but I really like this game, and that makes me want to do really well in the game. The fact that this game that I like will give me a rating makes me want to get a better rating. I don't know what that says about me personally, but whatever. I really have fun playing this game. You don't care about ratings and you want to see, what the different endings can really do. Not a lot changes. There's not like a real true separate ending. It's mostly just a ranking. But if you don't care about that and you want to just kind of coast, then by all means, get the gem finder, get the boo finder, whatever. Now when it comes to the boos, there is one boo hidden on each level. You are kind of encouraged to go back and re-explore those levels, see if there's anything you missed, both to find gems that are hidden everywhere and to find boos. The way you find the boos is that when you get close to a boo, both the rumble in your controller and the bubbles coming out of the goo in the back of your poltergust will get faster and faster. The closer you are to a boo, the faster the bubbles and the faster the vibration in your controller. When you're at a place where you think they must be, you need to start looking into items and figure out where exactly they're hiding. When you have found them, they will initiate combat with you, and you will have to try to chase down and catch the boo. It's something that seems like it should just be padding, but watch this. Tell me that didn't look fun. Tell me that didn't look fun. Lie to my face. The boos are nice because they add a bit of return exploration. Other than them, the game is fairly linear, especially in the later parts when you are literally going to the next floor each level. There are some small points where you end up having to do some backtracking, and I feel like some people online complain about those points, but it doesn't feel like unnecessary backtracking. It really does flow well. It's only really a couple of points that it happens, and both times it isn't really annoying. Hell, generally on my subsequent replays, I will wait until I have to backtrack to those floors to look for the boos that are on those floors. The first time I played the game, I really thought that the backtracking was going to annoy me when I went back to it. There's certain games that you play and you have a good time at the time, but then you turn them back on and you're like, I don't want to deal with that. It's not how this was. This wasn't at all like that. I really thought it was going to be, but the first time that I replayed the game, I was just having too good of a time again. I just really genuinely enjoy everything about this game. And what's not to enjoy? It's gorgeous. Look how good this game looks. I get it. These levels are fairly small. Because of that, they can add in a lot of detail. They can add in a lot of polish. But the thing is, the Switch isn't a very powerful system. It is severely underpowered compared to other current-gen consoles. But this game looks so good despite that. I would dare say this is one of the best-looking games on the system, period. It's up there with Pikmin 4 for just best-looking games on the Switch. And I don't need games to look absolutely gorgeous. I enjoyed playing Pokemon Scarlet. And I'm not gonna lie to you and act like it looked good. It doesn't. It still doesn't. But it was a fun game. It was objectively fun, even though it didn't look great. This game, on the other hand, this game both looks phenomenal and is super fun to play. I do have a few small complaints. Other than the difficulty one that I've already sort of mentioned, I wish there were more enemies. There really aren't a lot of variety when it comes to the types of ghosts that you'll run into. But the thing is that that's just a minor complaint. I wish there were more only because I feel there's some missed potential there. I don't at all think that it ruins or even harms the experience. Like I said, this is one of my all-time favorite games on the Switch, period. My only complaints are just because I think it could be even better. I might view it as a masterpiece, but it would straight up be perfection with these small tweaks. Now, where we do have plenty of variety is in the boss fights. The amount of amazing boss ghosts. A lot of your early ones feel more like mini bosses. They're just kind of small, semi-challenging journeys. They're the bosses that help you figure out the mechanics. As you progress to the later parts of the game, however, each boss has specific mechanics that you'll have to use against them, and each one is themed for the floor they're on. There's a chef ghost, there's a medieval king ghost, there's a gardener ghost, there's an Egyptian queen. There are so many cool boss ghosts, and a lot of them are big, grandiose, multi-leveled boss fights. Quite a few of them have at least 2 stages. It's a really good time. Now, in addition to the solo campaign, there are also 2 multiplayer modes. There is the Scream Park and the Scare Scraper. The Scare Scraper is an online mode where you and 3 other players have to go through a number of floors, starting at 5. I don't remember what the max that you can choose is. I just know the minimum is 5. Each floor will have a different challenge. Catch the ghosts, rescue the toads, catch all the crows. You know, there's just different ones for each level. The only thing that sucks is it is a timed challenge. So if you don't have a full team and if you guys aren't all playing your damnedest, you won't always make it to the end. I've played Scare Scraper a number of times and I've never actually made it through all the floors. I always either didn't have enough teammates or we just didn't make it. Frankly, I'm not great at Scare Scraper. I play better without a timer. I do not like timed missions. I don't like timed games. I don't like timed events. I like to explore things at my own rate. It's one of the reasons why I love Super Mario Bros. Wonder over any other 2D Mario game. And yes, I will be talking about Wonder. I'm just waiting for spooky season to end. The other mode, Scream Park, is a collection of mini-games that you play. There will be a team of Luigis and a team of Gooigis. You can do up to 8 players, and it's through local. I have not had a group of people over to play Scream Park, so I can't honestly judge it. I can say that as bad as I am at Scare Scraper, I still always really enjoy playing it. So I'm certain that I'd still enjoy Scream Park if I had a chance to try it. All in all, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a phenomenal game. It is damn near perfect. It is just such a good example of what peak Nintendo can be. And as I've already stated multiple times, it perfectly encapsulates the aesthetic that I appreciate for Halloween. Personally, I play this game at least once a year around this time of year. Whether or not that's your thing is neither here nor there, but I really enjoy this game, and I could really play it more than one time every year, easily. It's just a solid good time. It plays well, it looks great. Again, the only complaints I have are just things that I think could have made it better. None of my complaints are real actual issues that keep me from playing this game. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Have you played Luigi's Mansion 3? What's your favorite Luigi's Mansion game? What's your favorite Halloween game? Leave it down in the comments. Let me know. If you liked this video, hit like, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Check out some of my other videos. I've got a number of them now. I've been regularly posting for quite a while. I'm hoping to keep this train going. I want to talk about Super Mario Bros. Wonder next month. Super Mario RPG's coming out. Really excited about that. Dave the Diver? Oh my god, I finally got to play that. It is so fun. I'm definitely talking about that. Holy shit. But seriously, if you haven't tried Luigi's Mansion 3, you really should. It's a very fun game. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Be kind to each other. Peace.